uh, good evening or afternoon in other parts of the world. So would like to welcome everyone with our PAASE president here, uh, Dr. Mario Santo Domingo, who is actually in the US, based in the US. Our, of course, distinguished colleagues at the Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering. We have, of course, corresponding member Al Sarafika, and of course, my colleague and good friend, also corresponding member, Ann Villalobos, who is also currently in the US. We enjoin everyone to this first of a series of fireside chat related to regional science, technology, innovation, ecosystem, development. And we are honored this morning with the presence of our, of course, our key speaker for this fireside chat, my colleague, the National Academy of Science and Technology academician Victor Amoroso, who will be introduced formally by Dr. Villalobos later. And of course, he will be joined by a equally distinguished panel of reactors from the DNR Region 11, Ruel Colong, the tourism officer of San Fernando in Bukidnon, Michael Angelo Mendio, the political affairs officer of the Lone District of Iligan of the House of Representatives, Arnold Garbanzos, and I will be helping Dr. Villalobos, although she will be the main moderator for this morning. Indeed, it's a pleasure to welcome everyone from the academic community, from our local government units, from our most important stakeholder, farmers, community leaders, all the non-governmental organizations, especially in Mindanao and in the areas where Dr. Amoroso actually works. We have brought together in this forum on the topic biodiversity research, linking with stakeholders. So this is indeed an important gathering for PAASE. And without much further ado, I now give the floor to Dr. Ann Villalobos to begin the proceedings. Thank you, everyone, and good day.
Thank you, Alvin. Okay. Good morning in the Philippines and good evening in the US. Welcome to PAASE Fireside Chats, episode number 40. I am Ann Villalobos, a DOST Balik scientist, co-moderating today's fireside chat with academician Alvin Colaba of De La Salle University. Please make sure to abide by the reminders in today's session so we go with this smoothly. The video and sound will be off while the session is going on. And then later on, you may write your questions or comments in the chat box, or you can raise your hand to be given the floor to speak. So in this fireside chat, we'll be learning about biodiversity research initiatives in Mindanao by academician Victor B. Amoroso with 3 reactors, as Alvin has mentioned. Let me introduce our speaker and reactors. Academician Amoroso is a scientist superb from Central Mindanao University in Musuan, Bukidnon. In 2018, he was elected academician in the National Academy of Science and Technology of the Philippines, or PhilNast. He has so many awards and hundreds of publications with thousands of citations and including more than 10 books from collaborations spanning no borders in the Philippines and around the world. Notable of this is the ongoing collaborations on U.S. National Science Foundation, or NSF grant. Academician Amoroso brought CMU and Mindanao to so many firsts: the University Fernery, the Sport Culture Lab, CIBRIM, the Center for Biodiversity Research and Extension in Mindanao, where he was a founding director, the research centers NSRC and NPRDC. Most of all, he is a great mentor and an inspiration to so many. Many of them are now leading researchers and scientists in Mindanao and in the Philippines. His love for Fern started under his mentor, the late academician Prisciliano Zamora of UP Diliman, where academician Amoroso obtained his PhD, specializing in botany, morphology, and taxonomy, which he expanded this in biodiversity and natural products. He led so many mountain expeditions all throughout the Philippines, and if there's one who knows everything about the mountains in Mindanao, that's him. Professionally, a recipient of so many science and technology and public service awards, notable are the NAST Outstanding Young Scientist, Inc., OYSI Award in 1991, the USC NAST Career Scientist 3, the Civil Service CHED Republica Award, Country Coordinator of East Asia Pacific Long-Term Ecological Research Network, and many, many, many more awards. For the reactors, we have the first one is Ruel D. Colong. Ruel, a public servant who currently is Community Environment Natural Resources Officer or CENRO in the DENR of Digos City. He untiringly endeavors to efficiently implement major programs of DENR, including the Enhanced Biodiversity Conservation Program. He holds an MS in Environmental Management from the University of Southeastern Philippines and working towards his PhD in Development Administration. He has a BS degree in Forestry, which brought him to DNR and rose from the ranks. His leadership style is leading by example. He was the nomination team leader in inscription of the Mount Hamiguitan Wildlife Sanctuary as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and an ASEAN Heritage Park in 2014. In 2017, he was conferred the Presidential Lingkod Bayan Award. Ruel is author and co-author of some publications related to Mount Hamiguitan. The second reactor is Michael Angelo Mendio. Michael is currently a tourism officer of San Fernando, Bukidnon. He started as San Fernando Ecotourism Coordinator and has been an employee of LGU for 12 years. Michael is a graduate of BS Mechanical Engineering from Cagayan de Oro College. He pursued and finished NVQ, Customer Services in Golders Green College in London, England. Then he finished a short course on tourism planning and development for LGU at the Development Academy of the Philippines in Makati, and tourism statistics and management at the Department of Tourism in Region 10. Our third but not least reactor is Arnold Garbanzos. Arnold is currently connected with the Lone District of Iligan House of Representatives based in Quezon City under the office of Congressman Frederick W. Shell. He went to Andrew Tan School of Sustainable Tourism of Asian Institute of Management. He was also connected before with the LGU of Iligan as Executive Director for the Iligan Investment Promotion Center. He was also a former faculty of MSU IIT. Arnold specializes in marketing management, having graduated from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, major in marketing management. He was connected with the private sector for 20 years as regional head of operations of Pioneer Insurance. Now let's learn from academician Amoroso about biodiversity research in initiatives in Mindanao. Academician Amoroso, the space is yours.
Thank you, Anne, for that kind and long introduction. A pleasant morning, evening to all of us, most especially to our fellow PAASE officials and members, the academicians. And I'm so happy to be invited as one of the speakers or major speaker in today's webinar organized by PAASE. Thank you for that. I'd like to share my experience on how we did our research on biodiversity in the island of Mindanao and how their results were used to improve the lives of the people as well as the environment. And so I have to discuss about that. And normally when we implement research on biodiversity, it should be, you have to select the site to do the inventory, assessment, and monitoring of the flora and fauna, and also working with the people. And before we implement such, we have to present our research proposal to the stakeholders. And also, as a protocol, before collecting data or before going to the field, we have to do rituals. And there's a time that we can already implement our research on biodiversity. So the prior informed consent and the rituals are important to start the research. And also, when you do research on biodiversity, we have to present our results to the stakeholders before the project has ended, because normally you present it after the project is ended, but the results can be presented to the stakeholders as early. And during the time of the presentation or community validation to the stakeholders, there's a time that we present some materials like the communication, education materials to enhance the understanding about biodiversity. We can present the policy recommendations and so on. And it's important that we have to link ourselves with the stakeholders at all levels, from the cultural groups, if there are cultural groups in the area, to the barangay level, municipal or city officials, up to the provincial level. So that is how we link ourselves when we implemented our research on biodiversity. So in other words, this slide will show the digest of my presentation, how we involve the stakeholders implementing our research on biodiversity. I should tell you that we have implemented our research in 9 sites in Mindanao. And for this presentation, I'll just focus on 4 sites because of time constraint. I will focus on Mount Agatagon, that is in Lanao del Norte, Mount Pantaron in Bukidnon, Marilog, that's in Davao City, and Mount Hamagitan in Davao Oriental. So these are the sites that I would focus on my presentation and discussion. The first site is in Marilog. Now, the Marilog forest is frequently visited by tourists and nature lovers because of the ambience, nature, the pristine forest, and that's the reason that it is frequently visited by tourists and nature lovers. Commonly or popularly, we call this one as Baguio de Mindanao. And well, we have the pristine forest, but the Marilog forest is endangered because of the overcollection of the tree ferns and turn that into handicrafts, overcollection of ornamental plants like the crocodile fern and the operaceas, and even inside the forest, there's a charcoal making. They cut the Etocarpus or lion and turn that into charcoal, and the mushrooming or burgeoning of the rest houses and restaurants in the area. Not only that, there's a conversion of the forest land into agricultural land to give way for the high value crops. All of this have endangered the Marilog forest, and we would like to save this forest ecosystem. So the reason that we have implemented this research, because we would like, I said, to save this imperiled Marilog forest. And what we did, we made the inventory, we did assessment, and we tried to conserve the resources in a sustainable way, involving the stakeholders. And I'd like to present this one because there are listeners who would like to start the research on biodiversity. And I'd like them to have the methods also. First, the protocol, the right protocol, which I mentioned earlier, and the methods on how to do it. Like first, the basic one, we have to determine or know how rich are the species of plants and animals in the area. Not only that, it should be multidisciplinary. You have to include the people around, the IPs around the protected area or the forest. And also, we have to compute for the diversity values and implement several capability building activities to improve the lives of the people and the environment. And it is important that we do not only know what is in there, the number and kinds of species, but we have to try to assess whether a species is critically endangered, vulnerable, or a species are endemic. These are important assessments because these are the species which should be prioritized for the protection and conservation. Well, the protocol, when this is for the beginners, that what should be done when you do research in the area. Entry protocol is so important. When I say entry protocol, you must have the basic requirements like the prior informed consent from the stakeholders, from the local communities, and obtain the gratis permit from DNR. That's very important because you cannot collect any resources in the area. You cannot interview even without the gratis permit coming from DNR or Department of Environment and Natural Resources. It is also important that we have the MOA signed by the concerned stakeholders and us as researchers. That's very important. And also, it is a must that we present the research proposal, to the stakeholders so that they will be aware what should be, what kind of research that will be implemented in the area. With that, we can already implement our research in the area. So we can do the sampling on flora, fauna. We can do the focus group discussion for the stakeholders or interview them because we already have the proper protocol. And well, they would not be happy if we researchers would not implement capability building activities. It's important that we have to have a series of training to capacitate them. And that's very important when you do research on biodiversity. Just to show you how we did in Marillo, well, we had 5 sites selected. And here in 5 sites, we get inventory, what is in there, the number and kinds of species of plants, animals. So you know that the vascular plants are composed of the trees, shrubs, the herbs, ferns, and lichens. And we have determined the number of species and the kinds of species, as well as for the fauna, both vertebrate and invertebrate fauna, where the number and kinds of these organisms were known through research. I said it's not only knowing what is there or the kinds of species are there, but we have to know what are the threatened and endemic species in the place or in the area, because these are the priority species, I said, for conservation, for protection. So we have also that data on the threatened and endemic species, which are priority species for protection, I said. And these are just examples of what we have discovered: the diversity of ferns, lycophytes, diversity of flowering plants in the area, and many of these are critically endangered, or endemic. So these are some of the plants which are important for protection and conservation. And not only for the plant species, but also for the fauna, I said. These are examples to show, again, the endemic and endangered or threatened species of bats, frogs, and butterflies, and other invertebrates. What is important also is to explore a place so that we can discover new species, so that we can contribute something on Philippine diversity or global diversity. And it is through discovery of new species. So in our site, we have discovered grasshopper. This is a dwarf or pygmy grasshopper, which we named after our president, the Gutetex dareyi. And also have discovered a parasitic plant metastemon and a new record of ginger. So these are some of the information which we have gathered in Marilog. And with that, sometimes or oftentimes, the stakeholders would not be happy just by knowing what is in there, and they protect and conserve as told by DNR and told by us to protect and conserve, but they want something beyond protection. So we have to implement several activities which would capacitate them, capacitating the stakeholders, like giving seminar workshops on the propagation of economic plans, product development, and also seminar or training on assisted natural regeneration to enhance biodiversity in the area, or about tourism seminar and other training activities which we have implemented. There, local government units again would not appreciate the number and kinds of species of plants and animals in the area. Well, we have enhanced that knowledge, but what they would like would be something that would also provide some livelihood opportunities for the people, for their people or constituents. And so here we have established the nursery and community garden with the stakeholders. We also have implemented assisted natural regeneration in that mountain ecosystem. We wanted to enhance the plant diversity in that particular mountain ecosystem. And also we were able to establish, together with them, with the stakeholders, establish the economic garden, butterfly garden, and to make it sustainable, we had that memorandum of agreement that after the project has ended, or we have established all this small-scale infrastructure, they should continue maintaining all this small-scale infrastructure. And they were happy because they would like to promote biodiversity as part of the tourism activity in their place. Now, this is very important because oftentimes some researchers, after the research done, they just publish the wider findings in scientific journals and for academic promotion, academic rank promotion. And that's for business interest for us as researchers, just for us. But we would like that the stakeholders should also make use of the data which we have generated. And one of the ways would be like, well, we have to present the results to them during the community validation, and also disseminate the communication, education, public awareness materials, or before we call it IEC materials, and as shown there, the field guides showing the diversity of plants and animals, with the thinking that we would like to enhance their understanding or knowledge about biodiversity in the area. Because they would say that, well, I was born in a place, but I know just a little about biodiversity in the area. So we'd like to enhance that understanding or knowledge. Our project in here in Marilog was able to legislate an area as a local conservation area through the resolution made by the barangay officials. So this is very important because they themselves prepared that resolution designating one of the forests as a local conservation area as a result of our research. And while we're working with the cultural group, the Manobo Matigsalog cultural group, they will say that the forest is our life, we depend on it for our living. It is our market where we get food, and it is our pharmacy and our home. Okay, that's they would say that Manubo Matigsalog cultural tribe. So that's a story about Marilog Forest, and I have to proceed to the next story. So I will be telling stories in here. That was the first story. The second story will tell you how our research results were used by the LGUs, the local government officials. That would include DNR, provincial government, but municipal officials in inscribing Mount Hamagitan Range as a World or UNESCO World Heritage Site. So this is an example that these officials are quick to capture the data, to capture the knowledge, to just inscribe this Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that's it, UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's because this particular sanctuary is the habitat of many sighted endemic species, and well, that's something. It's a universal value that it is providing that in situ site for the conservation of the site endemic species found only in this place and nowhere else in the world. And that's the universal value. I'd like to climb Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary because I'd like to see the bonsai field. And this is a bonsai field of 1,200 hectares, that everything is dwarf. The trees are dwarf because of the ultramafic condition of the soil. And if you are there, or if I would be there, just like this one, that's myself, and that is the dwarf or pygmy. This is Almasiga Agathis philippinensis, and in a normal ecosystem, in a montane vegetation forest, Almasiga or Agathis philippinensis is about, well, it's more than 15 meters above sea level, 15 meters tall or height. But here it's just over 1.5 meters in height and taller than the Almasiga tree. So it's something unique, isn't it? Or interesting. Why this over 15-meter tall Almasiga or Agathis philippinensis, now it's dwarf in the summit of Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. And well, I have to show that Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary is located in the island of Mindanao in the southeastern part. So that's the location of Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. And what we did, we had the series of transit walk throughout the landscape, throughout the vegetation types, from one municipality, that is San Isidro, another municipality, Governor and Neruso, and the city of Mati. So we had several transit walk, and also were able to establish several sampling plots of 20 by 20 along the vegetation types, and the project was able to also put up the 2-hectare permanent plot for long-term monitoring of the flora and fauna in that 2-hectare permanent plant, as shown the green one, the square one. And with this, series of transit walk, establishment of plots, the 2-hectare permanent plots, we were able to know or determine the richness of the species of plants and animals. And not only that, we're able to identify and describe these different vegetation types. Now, normally, if you are in a mountain ecosystem in whether in Luzon, besides Mindanao, that mountain ecosystem have the agro system, the tropical lowland evergreen rainforest, tropical lower mountain forest, and also tropical upper mountain forest, just like in Mount Kitanglad, or in Mount Apo, or in Mount Malindang. You see these vegetation types. Okay, but what is unique in Mount Hamiguitan Race Wildlife Sanctuary, you have the forest of over ultramafic soil or ultramafic rocks. That would explain why the trees in the area are dwarf. So this is quite unique. The trekkers, the climbers, the tourists, they would like to see the bonsai trees in the summit of Mount Hamilton Range Wildlife Sanctuary. So it's quite interesting, quite unique, and our research has shown that Mount Hamilton Range Wildlife Sanctuary is the habitat of 252 endemic species and 209 threatened species. Like here, we have Middenhelia, Hoya, Rhododendron, and several species of pitcher plants of the genus Nepenthes, the lady sleeper, and so on. Likewise, it is the habitat of many threatened endemic species of animals, and we have accounted the number, and also it is the home of this Philippine eagle, Pithecupaga jeperi. So these are the species which we should promote. Here, it is just Tinagang Dagat, and this is the site where we have seen the site endemic rodent, Batomis hamigitan, and the site endemic Delias maxidana, the butterfly. And say the trunk, the branches twisted, we call this one as the hidden garden. And here we have observed the world's smallest dragonfly. It's just around 1.5 centimeter in length. So very short, it's dwarf. That's why it's a pygmy, Nanopaya pygmaea. So Mount Hamilton Range Wildlife Sanctuary has 9 sighted endemic species before the inscription. Only 9 species. And 9 species were used to inscribe Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. This is the dossier in which the results of our research are there, used as a dossier for the description of Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. It's a dossier, so if somebody has to validate, and so a UNESCO expert visited the place to validate this. That's Naomi Doc, UNESCO expert who tried to validate the presence of these 9 site endemic species, validate the threatened and other endemic species in Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, so that should be done. And here we had 4 nights, 5 days trek or walk to explore Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary with the expert, with the UNESCO expert, to validate those we wrote Pastor Roel, the former Pastor Roel Colong, contributed so much on that inscription, in the description of Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. So we walked 4 nights, 5 days, and trying to locate these different site endemic species. Not only that, also the threatened ones, the endangered, or endemic species of flora and fauna. Okay, so that was the role of the UNESCO expert, validating the data. And so we went to Qatar in 2014 for the inscription, and Mount Hamilton Range Wildlife Sanctuary was inscribed a year after, that is in 2015. So I'm just showing how it was inscribed for others to know, because others might be interested that their site will also be declared as such, UNESCO World Heritage Site or ASEAN Heritage Site, and that should be the process. Well, after that inscription, we did not stop exploring Mount Hamilton Range Wildlife Sanctuary. We continued the exploration, and we still have discovered several species of plants, animals new to science, or in other words, new discoveries. Again, enriching Philippine knowledge on Philippine biodiversity, enriching knowledge on global biodiversity. Here is an example of a fisher plant, Nepenthes alfredoi, named after our local researcher, Pidoy or Alfredo. That's why Nepenthes alfredoi, which can be recognized by the presence of the wings at the tendril, encircled yellow. Another new species is named after the Honorable Mayor of San Isidro, Mayor Honorable Josena Yu. So we have Nepenthes josenae, another new species of Nepenthes or fisher plants, which we have discovered. Another one is a plant, very unique, very interesting, because this plant grows only in the trunk of the tree fern. I'm showing the tree fern, or locally known as anotum or anonotum. And you know what? This is the only habitat of the world's smallest grass fern. World, huh? And so that's interesting. That's the large view of the short, globally short grass fern, which grows only the trunk of the tree fern and nowhere else. The moment it is gone forever. So we have to protect the tree fern trunks, because that is the micro habitat of this globally site endemic species of grass fern. We call it Arctostachys minota. Minota means small sized grass fern. So diba, it's interesting because the shortest grass fern is there in Hamigitan. And also, as we explore the place, there is that Arctostachys simplex, another new species which we have discovered, simplex because of simple fertile part at the tip of the leaf. And also, as we climb Mount Hamigitan, we also have our group, our team has discovered a species of flowering plant new to science. We name it after the late Perry Ong. That's why we have Hypericum periongi, which can be recognized by the terminal yellow flower. And another interesting plant which we have discovered new to science, this is Amiloteca Leopard, one of the staff of the Park Superintendent Office. And this is interesting because this is an aerial hemiparasitic plant. That means it parasitizes another flowering plant, as shown in there. And well, that is the parasitic plant Amiloteca, parasitizing another flowering plant. That's in white arrows. That's the host plant. And so it's interesting, isn't it? Because that is an aerial hemiparasitic plant. Another one is also interesting, amazing plants, because this is an example of plants which obtain its food from mycorrhizal fungi. It means that this plant might not be able to photosynthesize for the reason that the leaves are non-green. It's not green. Look at this. The encircled leaf. It's non-green, therefore non-photosynthetic. To survive, for the plant to survive, it has to obtain its food from mycorrhizal fungi. It associates with that another organism. Okay, so it's interesting, isn't it? And in the Philippines, we have only two species of this. One is found in Cebu Island, and the second one is in Mount Hamigitan. Well, we should not be talking all about plants here, but we also have I have also to explain that we have discovered species of weevils named after some people of significance, or they have put something in science. And so we have, well, Mita pucertus is a weevil, bronze, because of the bronze-colored elytra. Elytra is another wing, another kind of wing that's hard. And there's a coloration or marking. Bronze-colored Gapodai, is named after the well-known late Gapon. And we have Metapocertus bilabose, Anne. And the name of family name of Anne has been used to name this new webel, Metapocertus bilabose. And you can recognize that with color markings of the elytra. And I would say that Mount Hamagitan is important because out of the 6 species of grass ferns in the Philippines, 5 are found in Hamagitan. In other words, you don't have to go around the Philippine archipelago or walk or climb several mountains in the Philippines just to see this species of grass fern. Because in Mount Hamagitan, you already have the 5 species out of 6 in the Philippines. So it's something, isn't it? That the wonder of Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. Also, aside from the grass ferns, we have also the pitcher plants. Well, I would say that here, that Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary is the center of Nepenthes diversity, or center of Nepenthes diversity, for the reason that Mount Hamagitan is the habitat of 7 species of Nepenthes. In some places in the Philippines, a place or island or mountain would only have up to 3 species. That's maximum. Others only 1, 2 species, or 3 the maximum. But here we have 7 species of pitcher plants, and out of the 7, 5 are site endemic species. So that is how important is Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, being the center of Nepenthes and grass fern diversity. All of these results that we have gathered and disseminated were possible because of the help, support coming from all levels, down from the forest guards who became our local researchers, like the 2. They are well-known parataxonomists now. They are able to identify the species of plants and animals in the area. They're now highly prized. Our local guards turned into local researcher. We also have obtained their support from, well, we have the former PASO of Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, PASO Roel Colom, is now one of the actors, and support coming from the top people, the governor of the province, Honorable Quezon Malañaon, and the mayor of San Isidro. All of them, not only them, but all other sectors like DNR people, tourism office, have helped implement our research activities successfully in Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. And because of that, you see, the officials from the provincial level or barangay, or from the municipal level, in this case, they have established the museum, showcasing not only the biodiversity, but also the cultural diversity in the province of Davao Oriental. And this is now visited by thousands of visitors. So it's a tourist place in Davao Oriental, using also, again, the results by research. More importantly, this is the Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, and this is a very rare site that at the foot of Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, there's a building there, and that is the Natural Science Museum, which they have established again, local government units with the stakeholders to showcase the diversity found in Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, so that if you are not able to climb or trek Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary because you are a senior already, or you don't want to walk, just visit the Natural Science Museum, showcasing the diversity of plants and animals. So this is a story about Mount Hamagitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary and how our research results were used to inscribe this sanctuary as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Okay, that's the second site. And the third site now. So I'm telling a story per site because there's a difference on the approach on how we implemented our research on biodiversity in a particular site. And I hope that that the listeners would try to pick up the methods and so on. Well, this is an interesting site because, well, I'm always saying interesting. This particular mountain, Mount Malimomo, is part of Pantaron Range. And this is a non-protected area, okay? And so being non-protected area, it is prone to destruction, to disturbance. And we did our research in here. This is the landscape of Mount Malimomo. And we have explored the place, we have discovered species of plants, new to science also. And also we have capacitated the stakeholders like the wildlife enforcement officers. These are the people, the local people who would make the patrol and monitor what's happening in the wild. And so we have capacitated them. And in this particular mountain, Mount Malimomo, as part of Pantaron Range, there's a cultural group, the Manobo tribe in the area. So that's how we implemented this research. It's still ongoing. And again, the protocol, you listen for the beginners, that always that you present your research proposal pa lang, you have to present that to the stakeholders. And after presentation, ritual, okay? That's a requirement. After doing that, you can already do the field work with the stakeholders, involve the stakeholders to empower them. No, do not go to the field without them. And not only for security, but we should train them so that the work would be sustainable. And this is a place that is not safe because we are guarded with armed men. We call them as the bagani. That's the local word or term applied to this armed men. The bagani, the armed men, used to be former rebels, and they have turned themselves to the fold of to the government and working with the barangay officials in trying DNR in trying to protect and conserve the forest resources in the forest. Okay, so that is how we work with the bagani, with the officials, barangay officials. Kagawas also are involved. They are interested to join in field implementation, the inventory and assessment of the species. And there you will see the different local stakeholders from DNR to the bagani, the people in the barangay, the experts are there, or the researchers trying to help one another in collecting the data. And there, the one is circled, not very clear, but we had a problem of the collection of specimens when they are already that tall. We would like to collect the flowers or fruits up, and we had that difficulty. And the volunteer, the local guide, volunteered to climb and collect that rare specimen, which we told him to collect. And it's a specimen very important for taxonomic purposes. And so we explored the Mount Malimomo and discovered several species of Nepenthes. Earlier in Mangamagid, I said 7 species, and it is the center of Nepenthes diversity. But here comes another place in Bukidnon, where I work, where I live. We explored the place and found out that the Nepenthes species, well, because of the richness, has more species of Nepenthes than that of Mount Hamagitan. So you say, Hamagitan, you have Mount Malimomo having this number of species on the penthes or pitcher plant. Because I said there are places only one to three species in a place or a site. But here, again, we have 8 species. We have the Hoya, the critically endangered staghorn fern, and there are new species of tongue fern, Opiderma. So many interesting species we have discovered, but people or stakeholders do not appreciate that much discovering new species. That's for us scientists or researchers, and publish it to have the academic promotion. That's not enough. You change your mindset. Aside from academic promotion that we are aiming at or we are aiming for, but we have to consider the people, because the people living around our research sites, we have to capacitate them. And here we are trying to present the results of our research again, distribute or disseminate the IEC materials for them to know what's the diversity about the place. And that's the centro, the one encircled, but you cannot see it. You cannot see his face. But the one encircled in yellow, that's the centro officer, the Safety, Environment, and Natural Resource Officer in Valencia City. So that's from DNR. So we engage ourselves with DNR officials also. And well, this is interesting because the role of DNR is to deputize the some local members in the community as wildlife enforcement officers. And this is a site where we successfully work so that our local guides, our local searchers will be deputized as wildlife enforcement officers. And the local people, the Lomas, the natives, were so happy because they were given the ID, the ID showing that they are really that authorized to enforce some activities or implement the laws of the NR in protection and conservation of biodiversity in the area. So there were trainings conducted. And also, Mount Malimomo in San Fernando would like to promote tourism. And we have one reactors in here, Mike Mendio. He was involved in the gathering of data every time that we're in the field. And here, that's Michael Mendio. And here, the stakeholders, researchers, jointly prepared and installed these signages to promote the diversity of flora and fauna in the area. So it's a participation of all stakeholders. And well, because Michael Mendio would like to promote his place, Mount Malimomo, as a tourism site, we invited an expert to discuss and train the stakeholders about ecotourism. And the natives like Bae Solinai, the head of the indigenous tribe there, to represent the female group of the indigenous group, was able to attend and also actively participated in the workshop. As a president of Davao Oriental State University, we invited him as a resource person during the tourism activity. Well, this is important, and I think Michael Mendio is happy because we have declared Mount Malimomo as a local conservation area as a result of our research. That you cannot just declare an area as LCA or local conservation area without data to support. So our research results provided that data so that Mount Malimomo will be declared as such, as a local conservation area. And this will be used by the tourism officer or the officials of San Fernando well, to promote the flora and fauna in the area, particularly the site endemic ones or site endemic species. And there's a Philippine eagle. Now, one way of promoting the place is bird watching. And, one of our local guide or local searcher was able to capture this Philippine eagle. This is Dato Tagoyaman. And so this particular bird, our national bird, Pithecopaga jiperye, is named after this Dato, our local researcher, Tagoyaman. So this is Tagoyaman, national Tagoyaman Philippine eagle. Okay, that's the eagle. So bird watching people, bird watchers are interested to see the Philippine eagle flying in Mount Malimomo. And I think that's one way of promoting the place. And that's the legislated local conservation area, Mount Malimomo. Barangay officials have approved and designated the place as a local conservation area as a result of our research. And there, the tourism officer, Mike, was able to promote already the site in terms of tourism, showcasing biodiversity, the site endemic threatened species of plants and animals in the area. Now, we have seen this high diversity of flora and fauna, and we're working with the cultural groups, but we have seen how poor they are. And while involving them and observing them, I look at them, they need help. Oh, they are on barefoot, no slippers, no shoes at all, walking for hours just to sell the abaca fibers. And so we have seen that problem in the area. And so one occasion with the academician Anne Belobos, our Balik scientist, we went to the place, and Dr. Anne distributed and donated the slippers and the boots. And we distributed them to the stakeholders, to our local guides, our local researchers. And they were so happy receiving the boots and the slippers because, look at them on barefoot. And because of that, we have addressed the concern. I said that probably PAASE or us will do something about the improvement of the lives of the stakeholders, the Manobo in the area, being poor but rich in biodiversity, and the San Isidro, San Fernando officials would like to promote the place as ecotourism site. We have to do something. The PAASE members or us as PAASE members develop something. And with Anne and Dr. Coratico, another PAASE member, try to have another activity. And PAASE gave us seed money to do this kind of research. That it's not really research, but it's more on development, trying to improve the lives of people and utilizing what resources are there, like the abaca fibers. We have to produce handicraft products out of this. The Nito or Legodium cercinatum, very abundant place, produces handicrafts, which are sold commercially already, but the stakeholders can prepare that and or propagate some endangered or economic species of plants in the area. So this is the next, or we will continue this kind of development activity in the area, trying to help the stakeholder with the PAASE members. And the last site that I would be explaining, I hope that I still have 10 minutes or 5 minutes to explain the other site, the last site, Mount Agatagon. This is in Lanao del Norte. It's in Iligan, Lanao del Norte. Congressman Frederick Xiao gave money to NRCP, National Research Council of the Philippines, And NRCP, or National Research Council of the Philippines, commissioned us to do research about biodiversity because Frederick Shaw would like to protect and conserve this particular site, which is the only site with forest ecosystem in the area. So it might be a protected area, it can be a local conservation area. Okay, so that's the reason why Congressman Frederick Shaw gave us money through NRCP to implement this research. And why Mount Agatagan? Because, Congressman Shaw probably saw the importance of Mount Agatagan. It's really a tourist destination. Every day there are trekkers, visitors climbing Mount Agatagan, and because the site during that time at the middle, you see it's overlooking the city of Iligan. During night time at the summit, you see the landscape of the city of Iligan. But we saw, as we implemented the research, we saw some problems, like there's that waste scattered all throughout the trail. Conversion of forest land into agricultural land. There's a construction road. Invasive species like the boyo or Piper aduncum, mahogany, which is exotic, abundantly seen in the area, and slash and burn activity was observed. So these are problems, isn't it, or concerns that we should address. Also, and because of that, we did this kind of research, inventory, assessment, and trying to conserve the resources in there for ecotourism, or to develop ecotourism, develop Mount Agad as an ecotourism site. Okay, and that's just the goal: develop the site Mount Agad as an ecotourism area, and declare Mount Agad as a local conservation area. However, if we have to develop ecotourism in the area and promote biodiversity, there's no data on biodiversity. If we have to declare that area as a local conservation area, there's no data to support inscribing or designating Mount Agad as a local conservation area. So that is the importance of our research. We have to provide the data, okay, for ecotourism development and to declare the site as local conservation area. Well, during that time, that's the landscape. At the summit, you see the Iligan city, and there, the basic methodology is there: business composition, diversity values, assessment of the species, whether critically endangered, vulnerable, or endemic, and so on, and implement again the series of capability building activities for ecotourism development again, and for the designation of the place as a local conservation area. Okay, o balik tayo. We have to go back to the methodology for those beginners. That's the digest of the methodology that we have implemented, basic ones. Okay, and work with people, different stakeholders. Do not forget the stakeholders. We have to empower them. We have to capacitate them from the bottom up to the highest level in the hierarchy. That's very important. In other words, the research should be participatory, and also not only for knowledge's sake, but it should be for development, for the people, and for the environment. Okay, what we did, again, series of transit walk from one site to another site, and trying to characterize the vegetation type, and all of those would tell us, again, the diversity of plants and animals in the area. So of the figures to show how rich is Mount Agatagan in terms of the flora and fauna. And I've been telling you that it is not only knowing what is in there, what are the kinds of organisms are there, but we have to know out of this total species, what are the threatened species? It means that what are the critically endangered species? What are the endangered or vulnerable species? What are the endemic species? Because these are the species very important in prioritizing the protection and conservation, because we cannot protect all the species in the landscape. It's impossible. So we have to prioritize the protection. Okay, so that's the idea there. And yeah, examples of endemic and threatened plants, of ferns and flowering plants. Some are Philippine endemic, some are without endemic, some are critically endangered, vulnerable, and so on. These are the priority species for to protect in Mount Agatagan. And we also saw endemic birds which are threatened, like this one. You know, several, in fact, 19 species of endemic birds, and 3 are threatened. So that is how important is Mount Agad. Also for the bats, look at the appearance of the bats. There are ugly ones, there are handsome ones, long nose, short nose. So you can see, you can appreciate, you will appreciate their appearance. And we have 3 endemic species of bats in Mount Agatagan. So that is how important is Mount Agatagan. And with the lizards, there, around 8 endemic species of lizards, and one of these is threatened. So we have Mindanao as well as Philippine endemic species of lizards. The snakes, 6, well, several species, but I'm showing just 6 species which are endemic to the place. Not to the place, but Philippine endemic. And also, I said, stakeholders are not that interested about knowing what is in there, and just mainly to protect. They're not that interested because they would complain about the stomach. The stomach is hungry, nothing to eat, and therefore you have to do some capability activities. You have trained them as part. We implemented our research. We have trained them. We mentor them together with the students. We have involved students and other stakeholders. And these are the faces of our trained local researchers. And there was a training on biodiversity monitoring system, or BMS in short. Again, there were local guides, local guards also, and with the DNR experts, officials, we together implemented this training, BMS training, capacitating them on how to protect, conserve the remaining biodiversity in the area. And again, Mount Agad or Congressman Xiao and NRCP would like have to generate data or knowledge about biodiversity for ecotourism development. And so there was training on ecotourism again. And while roaming around or walking around Mount Agatagan, we saw the abundance of kaong. To the left side is kaong, Aringa pinata. No, there were several trees with plenty of fruits, but I asked the stakeholders, the local researchers with us, they said that they are not harvesting or not using the fruits of kaong. So we tried to train them on how to harvest, process the kaong seeds, and there you have the bottled kaong already with the stakeholders involved in processing this kaong in bottles this time. So we have the organic or natural kaong prepared by these stakeholders in Mount Agatagan. Because it's special kaong. Also, we had a training on how to propagate plants, ornamental plants. so that they can sell the ornamental plants if they have propagated these ornamental plants. Because during COVID time, plantitos, plantitas over-collect plants from the wild, and to avoid the depletion, to avoid the reduction of population of these plants in the wild, we have to train them on how to propagate these plants, and they can sell the propagated plants. And again, dissemination of the IEC materials, and we have this signage about the Mount Agad Biodiversity Trail. As they walk, they will be seeing the diversity of flora and fauna, focusing on the endemic ones and the endangered species of species of plants and animals. And well, again, they have participated in the preparation of the signages, because again, they will like again to promote the place, ecotourism site, and also promoting the biodiversity in the area. So we're so happy. One output of the project, through our project, we were able to initiate the formation of the so-called Mount Agatagon Biodiversity and Ecotourism Council. Now, it did not exist before our research. While implementing the research with the stakeholders and officials of the city of Iligan and all other barangay officials, we formed this council, and being chaired by the city mayor and the members, our institution, CMU and MSUIT are members of the council, as well DNR, barangay heads of the barangays are members of the council. So I'm so happy because this has been organized within the duration of our research. Not only that, we have organized the council together with officials of Iligan and DNR and so on. We also have organized the People's Organization, PO. No, they call it MAEBA. This is Mount Agatagan Ecotourism and Biodiversity Association. Because they are not organized, they're collecting entrance fee and well scattered. And so I told them, okay, why not? We told them that why not form an organization so that you can secure funds or funding to develop your area, Mount Agatagan, as a tourism site. Okay, so they were so happy because we initiated that. And in fact, they already have the approved association approved by DOLE, Department of Labor and Employment. So again, we're so happy because of that. Through our initiative, MAEBA has been formed. And so they have their set officers, their induction, and one of the major, first activity. Again, they don't have a mindset to what activities to implement. I said, you start small. We have the nursery established. What to do with the plants, nurture the nursery? We have to do assisted natural regeneration. Use the plants, the seedlings in the nursery, and do some enrichment in the forest to increase the population of the indigenous plants in the area. And so we did it. That was the first activity of the association. And again, we are so happy because of that. Again, the ANR, or Assisted Natural Regeneration activity, was participated by them, the members of the local community, as well as DNR people and some officials of the city. And we were successful in designating the area as a local conservation area. In other words, the data from our research or the results of our research were used to inscribe or designate the area as a local conservation area. So this is one of our accomplishments. And we're connecting ourselves with the mayor of the city, Iligan City. This is Mayor Celso Rehencia, and and he promised to prepare the proposal together with my co-researcher, Dr. Olga Nunisa from MSU ISC. We developed a proposal, and he promised to give us a grant of 50 million to continue our development activities in Mount Agatagan. But we still have to follow that up. You know, there's a change in administration, and we would like to have that budget to continue our RDA activities in the area. I have to end my presentation by showing the building of CEBREM, the Center for Biodiversity Research and Extension in Mindanao, or again in short, CEBREM, where I work. And as mentioned by Anne, I initiated the establishment of the center. And one of the mandates of the center is to assist in the protection and conservation of the remaining biodiversity in the island of Mindanao through research extension and involving the different stakeholders living around the site or protected area. And I'd like to end this again by showing the researchers with me, my colleagues, both the local and the scientists from the academy, and also the funding institutions like the Commission on Higher Education, the Department of Science and Technology, PICARD, of course, in our CP, who give us money to implement all of those research development activities, as well as my collaborating institutions like MSU IT, Davao Oriental State University, and other entities. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and I ended my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Academician Amoroso. I will hear from the first reactor, Ruel Colong. Ruel, the space is yours.
Yes, a pleasant day to everyone, especially to the organizers and host of the PAASE Fireside Chat, episode 40. I am so grateful and honored being considered as one of the reactors of this noble event. Please bear with me as I quickly and as quick as possible present my concise reaction through a PowerPoint presentation with emphasis on the Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary as one of the CMU's research sites in Mindanao. May I request the staff of the organizer to please present my PowerPoint if it's available there. May I request the PowerPoint for Mount Hamiguitan, please? Or I will just share my file copy here. For a while, I will share my PowerPoint presentation in just a while.
So do you want me to close this?
Yes, ma'am. Specific Mount Hamigitan, iba kasi yung na-present, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
I will just share my slide if I'm allowed.
You're allowed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, by the way, while we are waiting for Ruel, Dr. Akma, the director of SIVRIM, has mentioned that we have participants from China. They are our Chinese students at Central Mindanao University. These are Chen Ting, Yafin Han, Chon Bin Dong, Yang Yang, and Chon Lee. Thank you very much for attending this session for biodiversity research initiatives in Mindanao. And welcome. Okay, Ruel.
Is my presentation can be seen there, ma'am?
Yeah, we can see your presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
So okay, I prepared a concise PowerPoint presentation as part of my reaction to the presentation of Dr. and academician Vic Amoroso. I will be emphasizing my presentation or reaction specifically for Mount Hanigitan World Heritage Site, no, and ASEAN Heritage Park. So my reaction is titled CMU Researches Aiding the Mount Hamigitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary as UNESCO World Heritage Site and an ASEAN Heritage Park. It's not moving. Okay, just quickly, I would like to share a backgrounder about Mount Hamigitan. It is a protected area legislated by virtue of Republic Act 9303, dated or in the year 2004, with a total area of 7,100 hectares.
Well, are you okay?
Including the buffer zone. So this is the map of Mount Hamigitan. The red one is the protected area under Public Act 9303, and the rest are the expansion, no, of Mount Hamigitan under the World Heritage Site. It is known as the only protected forest noted for having the largest and most unique pygmy forest, with century-old trees thriving in a highly basic ultramafic soil, based on the research of Amoroso et al. In 2007. It houses at least 1,973 known species of flora and fauna, and still counting with the ongoing researches. Currently, it has 28 site endemic species, which are known only in the mountain slope of Mount Hanigitan. It contains a relatively high density of species per unit area. So, as we know, not just a legislated protected area, now Mount Hanigitan has two renowned international recognitions, being inscribed as UNESCO World Heritage Site in June 2014 and an ASEAN Heritage Park of the same year, particularly on October 31, 2014. Okay. CMU researchers aiding Mount Hamigitan as UNESCO World Heritage Site and ASEAN Heritage Parks in the one of the ASEAN Heritage Parks in the Philippines. So first, it aids in the ecosystems and biodiversity profiling. It was clearly emphasized by our speaker that a protected area should have a concrete and scientifically based ecosystems and biodiversity profile through scientific researches conducted in the PAA. Without such, it cannot direct or specifically aid the management as to the protection, conservation, and preservation of a particular protected area. Under this, first, what's this benefit or use of the scientific researches is the ecological profiling of the mountain ecosystems, no? The vegetation types which characterize or eventually characterize into a habitat types of important and locally and internationally important species of plants and animals, as shown in this transect diagram. So that through research, Mount Hamikitan was able to profile, not to put it in the ecological and biodiversity profile, the output emphasizing the habitat types of Mount Hamigitan as the same as presented by Doc Amoroso a while ago. So these are some of the pictures of the vegetation type which serve as the important habitat of the important plant and animals in Mount Hamigitan. Okay, these are the list of site endemic plants and site endemic animals, which are important outputs of the research studies conducted by CMU CBRIM, not just once, but a continuing endeavor, no, in Mount Hamigitan and also in other parts of Mindanao. So with that, it uncovers the number of species in Mount Hamigitan to date, a total of 1,100 species, 48 species, broken down into flora and fauna. For the flora, we have 1,149, 148 species, and for animals, we have 825 species. It was emphasized in the report of presentation of Dr. Amoroso, the number of picture plants in Mount Hamigitan comparatively very high comparative to other conservation or protected areas in the Philippines. It being housing at least 6 endemic species in Mount Hamigitan, or 7, if I may recall it right. And other important findings, no, as presented a while ago. So with the animals species, so we also have site endemic species, including the rodent, butterflies, and others, no, like the fern, a damselfly or dragonfly. So number 2, uses of the scientific researches in Mount Hamigitan is aiding in the preservation and protection of the ecosystem. So with that, one of the recommendations that we, as former PAASE of Mount Hamigitan, one of the important recommendations of the research findings of Dr. Amoroso et al. Is the hiring or employing the local community, or the organized or the trained local community. We call it Bantay Gubat or community park rangers. At least we employed 16 Bantay Gubat in the protection and biodiversity monitoring of Mount Hamigitan. And after that, we tapped them also as volunteers in the implementation of the Lawin system for forest and biodiversity protection. And in the conduct of regular monitoring of priority species in Mount Hamigitan, and also engagement of other law enforcement partners. And also under that number 2 use of the scientific researches, we are glad that through the intervention of CMU SIBRIM, we were able to Mount Hamiguitan has its permanent 2-hectare permanent plat through the ELTER program conducted by CMU SIBRIM. So this will help us for the continuous monitoring of the biodiversity in Mount Hamiguitan, especially in the 2-hectare established permanent established plat in the site, as indicated in the previous presentation of Doc Amoroso. So also the result of the research will not only be part of the profile of Mount Hamiguitan, not only for the protection and preservation, but to further disseminate the output, the details of the findings to the stakeholders, especially the community, the local government units, and the DNR as well, through the conduct of SEPA, using the research posters, flyers, and even the published journals and research books or outputs. Some of the flyers are shown here, for the birds, for the neurons, and other species like the insects that can be found in Mount Hamiguitan. 3, it aids in site development and in in situ conservation. As mentioned earlier, it helps in guided us in the establishment of Mount Hamiguitan World Heritage Park as an interpretation site. As mentioned by Doc Amoroso, not all individuals could physically climb Mount Hamiguitan, but with that, there is a solution because we established the interpretation site through this Mount Hamiguitan Natural Science Museum, where you have a virtual tour in Mount Hamiguitan, traversing the 5 vegetation types in Mount Hamiguitan and observe the lush forest and the rich biological resources that could be found in this iconic mountain of Mount Hamiguitan. Another one is this is the content, some of the scene or contents of the museum and the interpretation site as well. Another one is the establishment of Mount Hamiguitan Biodiversity Research and Learning Center. So the research outputs and so with some of the specimens are placed here so that those who wanted to have an experiential learning tour can visit her, can observe, can see the research outputs, and so with some of the specimens, preserved specimens for them to see up close and personal. These are some of the sites developed, using the research output as one of the important guides. As you can see here, one of the famous blogger locally known as Kulas, si Kyle Zimmerman used to visit Mount Hamiguitan together with one of the bloggers also. If I recall it right, the husband of the celebrity, So you can find this place. We developed this place based also on the research output, where to place the facilities, the conservation or protection facilities inside Mount Hamiguitan. So it help us or it aid us in protected area management. The research output serves as a basis, as input to PAMBI or the Protected Area Management Board for policy and decision making. And the other one is also an input to the preparation or the updating of the Protected Area General Management Plan that will guide the Protected Area Management Office and the stakeholders of this important protected area. As being the former PASO of Mount Hamiguitan, I see it that CMU has always been at the forefront of scientific researches, which greatly contributed to Mount Hamiguitan's inscription to the UNESCO World Heritage List, no? And as an ASEAN Heritage Park, leading to the park's designation as a research hub and one of the most visited experiential learning sites of protected areas in the country. So with that, thank you so much for the opportunity. I am very grateful and so honored to be part of this noble event. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Roel. And by the way, if you wanted to make comments or ask questions to the speaker and the reactor as of now, you may enter it in the chat box. Now we have our next reactor representing the San Fernando, the Mount Malimumu. We have Michael Angelo Mendio. Okay, Michael.
Okay, Maman. I would like to thank our co-moderator, Dr. Anne Villalobos. Thank you, Ma'am. And good day to everyone, and to good evening in the States or where you are right now. I pray that you're all safe. Okay. In behalf of local government of unit of San Fernando, Bukidnon, we are very thankful for this great privilege that we can share our story, being a recipient of this project, the OST funded research entitled Biodiversity in Selected Mountain Ecosystems of Mindanao for Conservation and Sustainable Development through SEBREM, Central Mindanao University, led by Dr. Vic Amoroso. Sir, thank you very much. Let me start with how we became a stakeholder and a recipient of this biodiversity research. It was then that the Malacanang Palace issued an executive order number 70, or known as the National Task Force End of Local Conflict, Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, in the country. So it cannot be denied that we are one of the NPA area, as mentioned by Dr. Vic, in the province of Bukidnon, and our municipality was massively affected with insurgencies, and one of the most affected area where the place was where the tribal communities, our brothers and sisters in the highlands, the Lumans, were striving because of these insurgencies. And through Retold Community Support Program, the RCSP of NTF-LCAC, led by the Department of Interior and Local Government, the DILG, mandated all government offices of LGU to give programs, services, and be delivered right on the doorsteps of the affected areas. So we go to the barangays affected, every office of the LGU. After we immersed in planning, the tourism office came up with a special project together with the Mendio, preservation of culture and arts. We have planned a special plan developed, the SF San Fernando Ecotourism project. So the plan is to make a local conservation area to be developed as the premier ecotourism site so that we can have a tourism program linking the biodiversity or the conservation and research program. This project aims to do a long-term program that we could give the IPs a permanent and sustainable livelihood without hindering their tradition and culture so that we could have peaceful implementation of the program. So our story begins why we became the recipient of SEBREM because of conservation effort. So I will be showing you my short presentation, the San Fernando ecotourism situation. I will be talking about the tourism side, not the conservation, the research side. Okay. All right. After our immersion, we have done ecotourism rapid assessment, and this is what we have recommended for SF ecotourism development. Possible activities for mountain tourism because we are promoting mountain tourism. Number one is the biodiversity trail because I see it if we have to invite tourists and the biodiversity will be distracted because tourism brings so much negative impact than the positive impact. Okay, and then we have found that we can make a short and easy jungle treks. And number three, the longer and more difficult jungle treks. We need this. We have to train guide because this needs guide and river experiences. We can go to waterfalls and visit river trekking, cycle area and trail running area, cultural shows and cultural festival, rainforest camping and bivouac experiences, rainforest survival camps, multi-day rainforest experiences, and number 10, we can have a topical nature experiences. So these possible activities can distract the biodiversity if it is not properly managed. So we have development suggestions. We give development suggestions. So number one, conservation and research program for biodiversity to have a baseline data of flora and fauna and all of the biodiversity in that area. So that is one reason why I contacted Noel of Sebrem. We're friends. So that started our story of research here in San Fernando. So second, we have to develop the road from provincial highway to proposed site and facilitate building and guest house in local style. Facilitate building of panubaran. This is the ritual house, as Sir Vic mentioned, that every time we have to go there, research, we have to do ritual as one of the requirement of the tribal. And maintain and sign post the EC trails, work together with the ICT, set up a ecotourism support and development. We have now the website, provide green guide training, and work with all stakeholders to create their own master plan for the area. Facilitate building multi-purpose hall with information corner setup and cultural displays and for souvenirs. And organize community-based ecotourism enterprise. So without further ado, we made dialogue. So SEBREM and LGU signed a MOA to do the research, the biodiversity research. We, Servic and the team, had a courtesy call with our mayor, Mayor Levy Dudong Edma. That's the picture of our first meeting. So that is the first joint meeting for SF Ecotourism Project was on July 16, 2020. Okay, we are almost 2 years making and developing this program with SEBREM, right? So we have a dialogue with first stakeholder, barangay, host barangay, the barangay Magkalungay, where Mount Maligmukmu was located. Okay, this is the barangay official with the Menro, Senro, SEBREM, and our SB chair on environment. We invited also the DILG, Ian Lloyd Alvarez, and everything was fine. And we have gone to do the research. So this is the first recon, as Sir Vic mentioned. We have Baganis in there. We are very aloft, you know, as I guide Sir Vic in the mountain, because there was an arm, you know. It is very hard for us to do tourism, you know, if our area is not peaceful. So I decided to do research because I know it can help starting our plan to be a premier ecotourism. So that is why we have biodiversity research conducted. So we hired already 15 locals trained on biodiversity monitoring system. They were paid every day. So later on, the IPs they adopted, you know. They were very happy because the research, it's like an answer to the prayer that they can have a sustainable livelihood. Okay, that is why I am very emotional on this, because what we have right now is a result of the biodiversity research. We also hired the 15 local Bagani to secure the area, and it helps, you know, it helps the biodiversity research. So we provide trainings. One of their livelihood is to poach flora and fauna and sell it to the town. So we have provide propagation on the economic ferns and edible ferns and other flora provided by the SEBREM as well. And we provided training on BMS and wildlife enforcement officer. They are now doing the enforcement in the mountain. Okay, we have also BIDS training for souvenir items, booking and bookkeeping workshop. And we have done second biodiversity research in Natampud, Barangay Namnam. We hired 20 locals and trained them as a local researcher. We have also done mountain tourism activity to assess if the mountain rivers can be used as mountain tourism. All right. So we also have activity with ZEBREM and Philippine Eagle Foundation, delineation of local conservation areas so that we can get the exact area to be made as a local conservation area. We hired locals to be with us in geotagging and mapping activity. And then we also have benchmarking activity in Mount Hamigitan Range and Wildlife Sanctuary to gain more knowledge on how we have to manage our own local conservation area. So we also have third biodiversity monitoring system done with National Museum of Natural History of UPLB, and Davao Oriental State University. And we also install biodiversity trail already. So this is the result of Mount Malimumu local conservation area, result of the biodiversity research. So we have 3 new species of Nepenthes. It was named, one of them was named in the mountain, name of the mountain, Nepenthes malimumuensis. So, and this is the area now. First, it's only 1 barangay, but now it is composed of 4 barangays already. Barangay Namnam, Magkalungay, Barangay Kawayan, and Barangay Candelaria. But we focused on Mount Malimumu because it's the first biodiversity research made, and we can do mountain tourism activities. So it's the one we are developing for mountain tourism in our municipality. We have a total area of 2068 hectares, 2,068 hectares already. So we have the highest elevation of 1,254 meters above sea level. Okay, this is the biodiversity trail signage installation we have done on our third biodiversity monitoring system training, and it is placed already in the area so that we can invite tourists. They will know and what species, what flora and fauna species in there, and we will be opening soon to the public. We have done this because we want to give sustainable livelihood programs to the stakeholders, the barangay, the host barangay, the barangay Magkalungay, because we found out that through ecotourism, we can give a sustainable income for them. It's very challenging because it's so hard to market ecotourism. It's a low impact tourism. It's a low impact tourism, and if we have to do tourism activities, we have to protect the area. That's why we move to have a local conservation area as a ecotourism site. So I want also to take this opportunity to thank PAASE for giving us a financial assistance so that we can improve, we can give the locals as Sir Vic mentioned about the uh, abaca propagation, and maybe we can make souvenirs, an output of that abaca plantation and development program for their livelihood. So I am very thankful for this noble event today, and thank you very much for giving us time to present our story as well. Ma'am Ann, thank you very much, and good day.
Thank you very much, Michael. And you have an exciting and promising and ongoing preparation for your ecotourism development in San Fernando.
Yes, ma'am.
Now
Thank you
we
very
will,
much.
okay. Reminder, if you wanted to make comments or questions, you can write it in the chat box. And our next reactor is Arnold Garbanzos, and he will be talking about the Iligan site. Arnold, the space is yours.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. I'm Iligan. I send you the greetings of the Lone District of Iligan and the city of Iligan because Congressman Xiao won as the mayor of Iligan now. So my greetings to all the distinguished researchers and educators that are present today. I believe I am the only member of the panel. Of course, mga kauban din na to sa DNR and other government, local government agencies, may buntag sa inyong tanan. I believe I am the only member of the reactors who belongs to the House of Representatives. No? Actually, I consider Dr. Amoroso as the Indiana Jones of biodiversity. No, so basically, I admire the work that he is doing, and you would like to commend him for the very good output that he has done for our place ang Mount Agad-Agad. Now, actually, I was not able to present a PowerPoint presentation because I'm speaking from the heart regarding the matter. Of all the administration sa Iligan or local government sa Iligan, and of course, I'm not talking about this because my principal is now the mayor of Iligan, but I talk because kining paglihok or itong paggalaw ni Congressman Xiao or making a move for Mount Agad-Agad is a move that is based on the heart, no, bali nasa puso talaga niya na ma-develop yung Mount Agad-Agad. Matagal na yan eh. He is not yet the congressman and mayor, city councilor pa siya. He already had the heart of developing Mount Agad-Agad for biodiversity and tourism purposes. The reason behind this is because yung Rotary Club niya got involved with the Mount Agad-Agad project way back in the 1990s. His club, the Rotary Club of RC Metro Iligan, got funding from the Rotary Club of South Bunbury, Australia. Simultaneously, my club also, the Rotary Club of Iligan, got also funding for Rugungon, Barangay Rugungon, yung bukid ng Rugungon, yung Mount Gabuna, no? Anyway, with that thought in mind, it is not surprising that Congressman Xiao allocated an amount for Mount Agad-Agad through the NRCP, and I am very happy si Dr. Amoroso together with Dr. Olga Nunezia of MSU IIT partnered on the matter. And my entry into the scene was basically more of shall I say, accidental in nature, or was it really arranged by the Lord? Sasali talaga ako itong Mount Agad-Agad project nila Dr. Amoroso because I am most of the time based here in Quezon City. Although I am from Iligan, but most of the time my stay is here in Manila. So minsan si Dr. Amoroso will have a very difficult time getting my attendance kasi most of the time I am here in Congress. Now, since I am from Congress, no, dito ako sa House of Representatives, my main focus is basically on legislature and getting funding for projects similar to what Dr. Amoroso and his team is doing. Every time I hear a presentation, I always look at the legal angle, where we can make laws that would multiply the effect sa ginagawa ng mga universities just like CMU and the MSU IIT. So, with that thought in mind, ay pag-isipan ko that I will discuss this matter with Mayor Xiao, no, regarding the development of a law, parang gagawa tayo ng batas para matulungan lahat ng LGU, not only Iligan but all the LGUs in the Philippines. Gagawa tayo ng batas na Hinterland Development Authority, no, HDA, that will develop and further enhance the work that is being done by people like Dr. Vic Amoroso. So, siyempre, itong mga research na to, they will not move unless there is proper funding. And since Dr. Amoroso is doing this consistently, it is but proper that we try to support Dr. Amoroso by coming up with a bill in the House, which I hope Dr. Amoroso and his team can help us develop itong batas na to, developing the Hinterland Development Authority, which I think would be under the DNR or depende yan kung anong komitiba dito sa Kongreso pumasok itong possible agency na to. Kasi malaki ang impact nito para sa bansa natin kasi I believe around, if I'm not mistaken, mga 60% of our land area are the mountains. So hinterland talaga. Tapos ang mga trabaho nila, Dr. Amoroso, nasa bukid lahat. So gagawa natin ng batas that we can also get the proper funding, institutionalize everything that we are doing para consistent, no? Consistent at saka long-lasting effect ng ginagawa nila Dr. Amoroso. So in the case of Mount Agad-Agad, of all the mountains that I believe Dr. Amoroso has visited and studied, ang Mount Agad-Agad is one of the most degraded areas actually. Pagpasok nila sa bukid, may mga basura na. Pagpasok nila doon, mayroong pinaputol na mga kahoy. As a matter of fact, kaalis nga lang nila ni Dr. Amoroso, may pinutol na mga kahoy doon eh. And this is one thing that Mayor Xiao likes to correct. Gusto talaga ayusin to once we sit down come July 1. What is the use of giving a funding kung gaano kalaki yung funding kung hindi naman natin ma-protect yung area na yan? So we have to protect the area, and I will be coordinating with the barangays involved, which is Barangay Tipanoy and Barangay Pugaan, to develop the barangay laws that would protect. Kasi may funding na to eh. Once the law is passed, once the bill is passed into law, may funding po. So hindi natin dapat sasayangin yung pera ng gobyerno na binigay sa atin. By the way, since Congressman Xiao is not in the House anymore, he will be mayor already. So we are thinking of having our allies in the House develop the bill, no? We are thinking of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who also traces her roots from Iligan, kasi may bahay naman po sila dito sa Iligan, si Madam Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Tapos the other congressman that we are looking into would be Rufus Rodriguez, no, of Cagayan de Oro, who is a very close friend and ally ni Mayor Xiao. Of course, our representative who is there in the Congress will also possibly look into this matter, no, para ma-develop na. You see, in the House kasi po, mga doctors, no, mga sir, ma'am, the House works as a collegial body. We cannot make an individual decision on the matter. So lahat ng batas na ginagawa sa House of Representatives must have the consensus of all the 200 or 300 congressmen that are present in the House. And it goes through a very rigorous process. Magti-3 readings, mayroon pa mga interpellation, mayroon pa mga amendment. Then after 3 readings in the House, magti-3 readings na naman po sa Senado, no? Before it reaches the office of the President and becomes a Republic Act. So ganyan po kadugo yung proseso dito sa Kongreso. sa paggawa ng isang batas. And to protect Mount Agad-Agad, of course, we commend Dr. Amoroso, saka yung puso niya, nagkatugma sila ng puso ni Mayor Xiao na tignan talaga kung anong magagawa natin sa Mount Agad-Agad. Of course, we are all surprised, Iligan, after, we became a city way back in 1950. So that is how old we are as a city. But even with that period of time, si Congressman Xiao lang talaga nagbigay ng funding for Mount Agad-Agad. Of course, sinundan ng LGU, which I heard through the presentation ni Dr. Amoroso, parang mayroong projected 15 million. O nabigay na ba kaya yung 15 million based on the previous administration? But with the heart of Congressman Xiao, yung puso niya na talaga makita niya ma-develop yung Mount Agad-Agad, there might be a possibility. Of course, I'm not making a promise, just a projection possibly na baka dagdagan pa ni Mayor Xiao yan kasi under na po tayo sa Mandanas Garcia ruling, so meron na pong devolution, so possibly the barangay Pugaan, Antipanoy might get a lion's share of the budget, no? So ito mga bagay na to pinagdidiskussan po natin ngayong umaga. We are so happy that Dr. Amoroso invited us over, no, and I believe na the NRCP will be very proud, and with the integrity of the study and the consistency of the team, mayroon talagang mangyayari po sa Mount Agad-Agad. And I can use my by the way, good morning to our Chinese friends, no. I don't know how to speak Mandarin or Cantonese, but I know how to speak Hokkien. So in Hokkien, we greet each other, no, dito sa wag na lang baka yung mga iba man. Anyway, basta I'm digressing a little. Here when we talk of the Hinterland Development Authority, for everybody to know, hindi lang po Iligan, hindi lang po Bukidnon. We're not only talking of Iligan, Bukidnon, Davao. When we make this law, the Hinterland Development Authority, we are talking of the entire country. This will be affecting the entire nation. And so I hope and pray that during the 19th Congress, this will materialize as a law. But we cannot do this unless we are supported by people, academicians like you, who will help us frame the law to the satisfaction, no? To the satisfaction of all our people and all the local governments concerned. Anyway, yun lang po masishare ko sa inyo. I'm so happy to see a lot of my colleagues yung involved sa ganitong klaseng activity present during this presentation. So again, to the team of Dr. Amoroso and to the PAASE board and to all the people that are involved in this study, congratulations and more power, and we continue to support you in what you are doing. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. Let's give a virtual applause to the speakers, presenters, and reactors, Academician Amoroso, Roel Colong, Michael Angelo Mendio, and Arnold Garbanzos. Thank you very much for your very encouraging talks and presentations. Now, if you have any comments or questions, please address it to the speakers and presenters for today's session. Who will start? Giselle, are you still there?
By the way, Doc, before I forget po pala, no, with your indulgence, pati si Dr. Amoroso, we are requesting for a copy of this presentation para mapakita po natin dito kay Mayor Xiao, saka sa mga congressman who we would like to be involved in this very vital House bill on the Hinterland Development Authority, no? Magiging mayaman na tong grupo ni Dr. Victor Amoroso So kailangan talaga i-present natin ng maayos to sa syudad at saka sa Kongreso. You will get the funding, Doc, Basta ganito lang palagi yung ginagawa nyo, we will definitely support you on the matter. The House has the power of the purse. Every year, we always deliberate on the budget every August and September. Dito ko nakikita yung mga taga-DNR, taga-DILG, taga-Department of Tourism, nagsusumamo, naghihingi ng budget. No? So, humirin tayo ng budget para sa CMU, para sa ganitong klaseng mga proyekto kasi maganda to po para sa ating bansa. Maraming salamat po. So we just want to have a copy of this, Dr. Ann, of this presentation po. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Giselle, I think, has a comment. Giselle?
Yes, maraming salamat po, Congressman. At kami nagagalak na you have
Vice Congressman po, Vice Congressman.
commitment po to this endeavor of Dr. Amoroso, also involving Dr. Ann Villalobos of the PAASE and the NAST. Kami po'y umaasa sa aming S&T champion for in the decades, none other than our former President, PGMA. In fact, I was about to communicate with her now. Kasi po, akala ko po siya ay magiging Speaker of the House. Mukhang hindi pa ganun ang mangyayari. Pero alam na po natin na kayo po ang pagsisimulan ng mga batas. And to be honest, meron na rin po kaming napadalang budget and proposal kay Speaker Velasco tungkol sa project ng PAASE na magsusuporta ng ganitong klaseng project na napaka-importante sa ecotourism. Yan po yung isang
interesting po ito. Okay.
Padala ko po sa inyo yon. Kaso ho, naabutan na ho ng eleksyon. Pero ang sinasabi po namin, holistic or whole of locality or society approach. Kailangan na andun ang akademya, nandun ang LGU, nandun po kayo, nandyan ang communities, nandyan po industriya para mabuo. At andun din po sana yung mga ating very well-trained OFWs na bumalik dyan sa lugar ninyo. Kasi marunong silang at andar ng hostels, yung ecotourism na tuturuan din nila sa ibang bansa. Malaking bagay po ito sa atin sa Mindanao. Ngayon po, meron tayong isang modelo rin ng pagbalik ng mga insurgents to the fold, no, to society. Yung pong sa Leyte, maikikwento po ng ating isang academician dito kung ano po yung ginawa ni Governor Petilla. Binigyan po ng livelihood, ng kabuhayan ang mga insurgents. Wala na pong insurgents doon sa Leyte o nabawasan ng malaki. At ngayon po sila ay farmers na, insurgents to farmers. Kaya po, kami ng pagkakataon na mabuo itong programang ito na lahat involved, no? Holistic po ang approach. Mangyayari po yan. At maging modelo po kayo, tama po, para noon ma-replicate sa ibang other ecotouristic spots, mountains, and then lakes, and even coastal sites sa buong Pilipinas. So maraming salamat po sa inyong suporta. Yung pong PAASE, meron pong MOU with San Fernando LGU at yung CEM po dyan. Yan na po yung umpisa. At ang donation po ng PAASE ngayon ay yung pong donation din ng ating miyembro si Dr. Ann Villalobos. Maliit lang pondo yon pero umpisa na po yun. So maraming po. Maari kong pong sanang maibanggit ito kay President GMA kung sana po talagang makabuo kayo ng mga congressmen na masusuportahan itong batas sa House of Representatives. Maraming salamat po.
Yes po, Doc. Maraming salamat din po, Doc. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Giselle, for that very encouraging and inspiring comments. And we're looking forward to an action that you are proposing.
I'm back.
Oh, Alvin is here. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
So you will be the moderator now.
I don't know what, but of course, I was listening while I was into, I paying attention to two things. But I heard everything that academician Victor Amoroso has shared and of course the panel of discussants. Excellent. Vic, I wish you can travel to the other areas in the Philippines. You see, in my experience, in Leyte, and Giselle, Anne knows that as well because I brought her also to Leyte. You really need people like you who can mobilize effectively. It's not just being there and being able to speak. It is about, how effective you can mobilize people. The most difficult, to deal with are always the people. And this is recorded and even political, of course. That's why, in my experience, in Leyte, we couldn't work on the regional basis, Vic, and of course, colleagues. Why? Because if you work on the regional basis, you will be dealing with different political political jurisdiction. How many governors you have to deal with? How many, in the case of Leyte, we have first to focus on one province like Leyte because you are only dealing here with one governor. Even with cities, it becomes a problem when they are highly urbanized because they are no longer under the jurisdiction of the province. So to work with, a city like highly urban, like in the case of Leyte, the Tacloban or Ormoc cities, they are independent. So working with them is sometimes also a challenge. That is why we have to build more people like Vic here, and of course Anne helping, who are effective mobilizers, who have of course also the reputation and integrity, because the people will not easily, follow you, listen to you, take your advice. It takes time to earn your. It's good that in the case of Victor, he has been in that place for the entire life. But you can just imagine if you move to another area where no one knows you, but of course you are an expert, you come there as an expert, people might not even listen to you. So that's why, as we have already been advocating with Giselle, we want our top expert scientists in the provinces to go back to, you can be more effective in helping, develop economically, in the provinces or in the region. And I think our experiences, in Mindanao with a group of Victor there is excellent. And we want to replicate this to the entire country. This cannot be in Mindanao alone, Victor. I hope that, you can do that for the entire Mindanao. And that would be how many mountains you have to to walk and reach, but that can be done if we have already brought with us the critical mass of people who are already been developed competently on the field. As Dr. Morosos mentioned, you have to train people. It's not enough that they help you. You have to train them so that on their own they can do it themselves. I think what I'm saying, Victor, is the success of what we are doing is when we are no longer there, and you can see that they can do it on their own without any intervention. They know what to do. They know what they needed to do and so that is where. But as long as we are still there, we cannot really see whether because sustainability is the most challenging component of what we are doing. And what we don't want is when we leave them, it seems like everything stops as well. So it takes time to nurture people, and no wonder the entire life of Victor has been there, because that's the only way to ensure that everything is sustained and you can see the benefit of our work. And I'm just following you probably, Victor. It's been only a couple of years that I've been also doing the work in Leyte. But you see, we need to build capacities. Anne knows that very well. When we try to bring in new ideas, the problem is who are the people who will work with you? And there are not many. In fact, there are none. So you have to, build the capacity, and it takes years to do that. But there's no better way to start it yesterday or now. So you really have to build that capacity, build more, have more scientists and competent people on the ground. Unfortunately, in the last 2 years of the pandemic, it has been a struggle. I was trying to bring the top scientists, to work on the ground, on the field, but because of the restrictions and, they could not join us. But immediately after the restrictions has been eased, Giselle, Georgian, Primavera, they went to Leyte. And now we have a project, Victor, on the coastal greenbelt. And the good thing is the provincial government now are the ones funding it. It's not even the national government. We have received over, Giselle, about 30 million to pursue these initiatives, in the province without the national government, funding it. So we have convinced now the local government in investing in these initiatives. And one of the components there is to build the capacity. In fact, what we did in Leyte, and Giselle was there when we did it, is we are now developing the S&T human capital development for the province, because that is what also the governor wanted. So that we would know which areas we need to have competent people. And it's not only about scientists, not only with PhDs, by the way, Anne and Victor. No, it is about also the technicians. Even if you can build the competence of the local community, like what we are doing in flooding efforts in Leyte, we are training the barangay captains, and the barangay captains are training their communities, something like that. You have to do it at that level to be able to sustain, the initiatives. And I think I admire a lot your efforts there in Mindanao, and the team that you have. Of course, those who joined us this morning, thank you so much for sharing your stories to the entire, country. This is what we want to do, to achieve. Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
think Al is raising his.
Okay. Al, it's your turn.
So, well, first I want to congratulate Victor. Definitely, I'm quite amazed actually on what you've done over this lifetime, for lack of a better word, because you've been doing it all this time. But I do wanted to just give you guys a heads up. Definitely, from a sustainability aspect, I'm now a chairman of a foundation with Unilab Foundation, and in STEM education, but more of the learnings around the League of Corporate Foundations now, where they're looking at sustainability. And I'm looking at also Netflix, this national parks with Barack Obama being the speaker, clearly gave me some idea of what else we can do as a team in what you've done already. Because there's definitely in YouTube and in education now, we're trying to get learners and exposure in STEM education. And we start with 8-second clips about subject matters, including social-emotional learning, which is a new topic for being able to create educated 21st century education bent workforce in that sense, which was a discussion I had with the state universities 2 days ago in Batangas on inclusive innovation. But what I wanted to relate to you is we can start looking at the foundations as well, corporate, social responsible institutions that can possibly help you in your efforts in Mindanao, and of course, make it a model. I know in Siargao with Mayor Coro has done a tremendous job trying to build in Siargao such a collaboration and sustainability. And I think Alvin is correct, not only that we have to involve the LGUs but we also need the private sector. This is a transdisciplinary activity. As you will know, when we attend our National Academy meetings, we always talk about involving every stakeholder as much as possible. So I come from the private and I also want a private view on any activity that we do in STEM and SMT and be able to provide input, if only to give ideas and share with a group of people. I mean, they can be from the region, they can be interested in the region, or they just wants to help in preservation and sustainability of national parks. I think that's worth a conversation. The next time we do have the opportunity to interface with foundations again. I know Giselle just talk about the legislative aspect. I think we will have to continue your effort and to make sure that it sticks, that it actually is scaled up, meaning more implemented in more regions, and make it sustainable with both the economic and the social support that it needs. But of course, even more important to me is for my children, having seen what you've seen in Mount Hamiguitan and the rest of your community. I want my kids to go there. We go to national parks in the US, Grand Canyon, Muir Woods. How come I can't take them to the Philippine national parks? And this is exactly what's running in my mind. Just you showing the pitcher plants, showing Rafflesia, showing the bugs. It's amazing what you've done. So I'm really wanting to see how we can create modules to broadcast what you've done so that more Filipinos can see it on film, and eventually, when travel is allowed as openly, they can come to Bukidnon, starting from CMU all the way. Which is also my commitment with Anne. But first, I'll go visit Leyte because Alvin has been.
I've been wanting to bring you, Al. It's closer to. Let's go together. I'll probably join you to visit Victor. So let's all travel to. But first of all, Victor, you have to invite us.
Good job, guys.
Anyway.
Thank you. But I'll keep an eye on our private sector involvement in what you do and what you've started all this 30 decades in Bukidnon. So it just is phenomenal. But I think you need all the help we can get also. We can't have too many friends. So definitely together with our friend Congressman and our friends from DOT and from the universities, it's really a whole holistic approach to being able to preserve our environment, starting with your neck of the woods in Mindanao. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Al. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's see if Victor has a comment.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Vic,
Victor,
do you have a comment,
we want
or-
to hear from Victor, of course, Dr. Amoroso. You're mute.
Is my
We cannot hear you.
no, he's unmute already. Hello, Vic.
Okay.
Vic,
can-
are you going to talk?
Yeah, he's
Uh,
speaking. We don't hear him.
Vic, we cannot hear you.
Baka nakamute.
Hindi,
Ba siya,
ano siya,
or-
naka-on yung microphone niya.
Or is yung ano niya, yung
Baka headphone.
Yung headphone
Vic,
niya,
we cannot hear you.
i-off siguro yung ano niya, headphone.
Tinanggal ko ng headphone para makasalita ako.
ayun, better.
Is it okay?
Yes.
I
We can hear you
remote
clearly.
now. Where's my video, Noel?
Better.
It's
Yeah.
gone. Wala. I removed the headphones. Thank you, academician Al, Alvin, and academician Giselle for the insights on how to really improve what you have done so far here in the island of Mindanao. Actually, the research development activities and results which I have presented were possible because of collaborations with several academic institutions, not only in Mindanao, but also in Luzon, like Kipulos Baños, National Museum of the Philippines, and mostly in the island of Mindanao. not only with the academic institutions, but also all possible the stakeholders from the barangay up to the provincial level and the Congress mayor to the congressman level. So it's really collaborations between these different stakeholders. That's why we're so happy, and I think we are successful in implementing all these research and development activities because of their support. So collaborations, linking with the different stakeholders is really very important when you do any RDA in a particular site. Well, academician Alvin has shared his experience, what he did in Leyte, and we're also doing that kind of mechanism. We implement this RDA. It's really important to have collaborations and linking with the stakeholders. That's it. And the comment of academician Al about scaling, trying to scale up. In fact, our research and biodiversity started in Mount Malindang, that's in Misamis Occidental with the Sabanons. And the knowledge that I got from there, I scaled up. So we implemented what we learned, or the strategies, or the tools on how to do research on biodiversity in Manamagitan. So we were successful. We have improved the methodologies and so on, and working with people. And that's why Manamagitan has been described as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and expanding to the different sites in Mindanao. So that's the scaling up. But you're right. No, I think we failed when you mentioned about industries, linking ourselves with the industries. But knowing what is in there in the mountain, the indigenous plants which have economic values, and in fact we already have produced some products, food products, out of these indigenous plants, and even the pesticides that we have produced with Anne from an endemic plant here in one of the mountains in Mindanao. We have produced of those pesticides, food products, both food and health products. We have produced, but we have to link ourselves with the industries, as you mentioned. That's very important, because so far we only have touched ourselves with the base, with the local people, indigenous people, or cultural groups around the mountain, the barangay level, city level, and so on, but not really with the industries. And so probably Dr. Al can help us on that. Perfect our well, we have to perfect the products, but help us in trying to really commercialize something like that and link ourselves to these different industries. Okay, that's very important. And I'm so happy because I'm based here in Central Mindanao University with the center, though I have retired, but still I'm very active doing several research activities at the same time. I'm still teaching up to this time. I'm still teaching and doing a lot of research activities and mentoring. That's very important. Dr. Al, Dr. Giselle, Dr. Albin, it's really true that we have to mentor and train the younger ones, the future scientists in the future, and we are doing that here. And well, probably I'm so lucky because I am here at the university with all the supports, not only from the CME administration, but even with the local government unit officials. I have kept in touch with the congressmen, the mayors, and the barangay captains. That's how we work. Working with them is very important. Okay, I think that's a quick comment or reaction about what you have said.
Okay, thank you very much, Vic. Now we'll have, it's already getting late, so we'll have Giselle Concepcion for the closing remarks.
Okay.
Thank you, Anne. On behalf of President Mario and the whole of PAASE, we congratulate Dr. Victor Amoroso and his team for all the advancements in being responsible stewards of nature. And when we signed our MOU with CEM, our president was present, and and also the mayor of San Pedro, we said that we are one with nature, and we recognize that we should keep these sanctuaries pristine, but at the same time, we should find ways to help the inhabitants, the tribes, the insurgents, uplift their lives with the help of nature, helping conserving nature. We know it's a formidable task. There are many players, but I think this group here of enthusiasts, passionate people, we're always the same people attending these fireside chats, right? Al and Alvin, of course. Now we have the young people with us. I note Romel Dator is here. I have many other RAs who are from Mindanao. One day they will go home to Mindanao. We're looking for a place for them because Executive Director Arnold, bottom line is hindi po natin masussustain ito kung wala tayo ng mga well-trained people. Sabi nga ni Al, pwede rin mga technicians and then yung mga community leaders bukod doon sa mga masters, PhDs at professionals. Kaya dapat tulong-tulong po tayo. Synergy is always about 1 + 1 = 10. Magagawa po natin yan at ma-replicate at i-spread the word natin yan sa buong bansa. So there is hope for the future. Maraming salamat po. Good day, everyone. Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you
Giselle.
very much, Giselle. Good night. Alvin, do you need to say something else?
No,
Good night and good
I've
morning.
spoken too long already. I just wanted
Now,
to.
I do not know
thank-
how to end this. How do we end the recording?
Well, you just click the record and stuff, you know. But anyway,
Pero ang dapat nating sabihin is dapat tuloy-tuloy ang usapan. Hindi pwedeng
Yes.
isang chat lang.
Isang
Hindi
session.
po blueprint.
Yeah.
Victor,
Yeah.
kailangan ng blueprint, no? So,
Yes.
divide the work para nun we can advance faster. And we
Yes.
do the blueprint that will be adopted by other parts of the
Yes,
country. Ganun yun,
it
no?
should be done.
Ganun po.
maybe
Okay.
Giselle, and in the future,
Oo.
our session will be bringing people who have real experiences, and we did not have to talk about our own work there, but really how it is to work with different people on the ground,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's the most difficult. And I'm sure Victor has not shared, that there are many resources that you have to put into, from personal to the family, and
Yeah.
so those
Yeah.
are the things that are not probably known to many, but that is the reality on the ground, because they might have a wrong impression that, when you get to the ground, everything is available. Sometimes you have
Yeah.
long
Big
kilometers
problems.
because there's
Yeah.
no one
Yeah.
who will provide you the transport.
I have to work. You have
So
to do it
I think these are the
shine
things
day and night.
we need.
Alvin, ito ko lang yung experience natin sa Leyte.
Yeah.
Yung PhD master student, si Marvin, may dalang drone.
Yeah.
So that's an example of a non-invasive technology na ang laki ng tulong. So
Yes,
agad
correct.
nakuha ng mga aerial photos, low level, nung mangrove and beach forest areas sa Pato, na gusto naming i-revive or i-develop a storm coastal green belts to protect against storm surges. Kaya
Yes.
yung mga drone, lalo magiging high-res ang kanilang mga cameras and videos.
Yes.
Makakatulong yan sa documenting biodiversity. Mga ganong bagay.
Giselle, that is his personal. He bought it because he's
Yes.
a researcher. I mean,
It's
if you
his
can
own.
convince people, who are become passionate of what they do, they have to invest in their own, because nobody, if you wait for
Oo.
our national government, local government, and other,
Oh, that was come.
it will not come it will come probably at the wrong time.
Oo nga, kahit na may as pagka yung IRR, tapos yung implementation at yung procurement, napakabagal. Alaring
Oh, it's happening all throughout.
Yes, yes. It is a
Hindi pa-
systemic.
pero hindi pa rin in timely way na kukuha yung mga kailangan. Pati yung mga sweldo ng mga researchers.
Oh,
Lahat
delayed.
late yan. Kawawa naman sila. Anyway,
Anyway, so thank you. Thank you,
So
Ruel.
much.
Magandang kwentuhan natin.
Thank you,
Galing,
Ruel.
galing,
Thank you,
ah.
Michael. Thank you, Arnold.
Thank
for-
you. Thank you, Vic.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Arnold. Thank you,
and everyone
Ruel.
who attended.
Michael, and all the participants.
Maraming salamat po.
Aming salamat sa
Ano
lahat.
bang group photo
Stay
yan?
safe.
Congratulations.
Photo muna.
Hindi ko alam yun mag-group photo.
Ay,
Sino yung
nako.
marunong mag-group
Hindi mo
photo?
ma-document fully pala.
Sige.
Umalis na din ng iba.
Sino yung marunong mag-group photo? Hindi
Oy,
ko alam.
Do you know?
kukuha na lang ako ng
Oh.
telephone ko, ha?
Sige,
Baka
sige.
umalis
Si
na din ng
Giselle na
ibang
lang.
participants. Kasi akala nila
Sige,
chika-chika
group
na lang.
photo.
Oh, put on your cameras.
Oh, sige. Sino naiwan? Pukunan na picture ni.
Sino yung
Okay, we're
marunong
getting it
Giselle
now.
will take the photo.
Okay, we're getting it now.
I'm
Okay.
Now,
Okay. It's okay. Sige, Noel, can you do it? Okay. One.
Yeah.
Wait for a while. Noel is trying to adjust. Okay. Noel, is it okay now?
Yep.
Mag-mute ba? Pwede mag-mute? I-mute nyo muna. So Alnar is there. It's good that you are there, Alnar. Another PAASE member.
1, 2, 3, sir.
1, 2, 3. Okay, smile. And some of the Chinese students are there also. Okay. And Maki there. Good.
1, 2, 3.
Is it okay? That's
Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you,
so much,
Alnar.
Ann.
Say you
Thank you, everyone.
all.
for organizing this. Thank you,
Thank
Vic.
you, everyone, and
Thank you,
congratulations.
everyone.
God bless.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Yes, thank you, Ruel. No,
Ruel,
ma'am.
Arnold,
Welcome.
thank
Jen
you
is
so
there.
much.
Arnold,
student.
Mike,
Michael,
Yeah.
Mike,
Victor.
thank you. And everyone
Thank you so much.
who stayed.
Yeah.
Great
Thank
job.
you so much.
Yeah.
Galing.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Sir Vic.
Okay.
And thank you, Ann, for organizing this with
You
Yeah,
too.
ayaw ko na sana. Sabi ko kay Ann, ayaw ko na.
Pinipilit ko yan siya.
Napilit
Alam
ako
mo,
ni Ann.
alam
Ang
mo,
tagal, sabi ko kahit ano yung
Ano
gusto
ka
mo,
sa busy,
sabihin mo
ano
sa
ka-
akin.
sumusunod ako sa schedule ni Vic. Ayun, na-conflict tuloy
Puno-puno
ako
ako
eh.
ngayon eh. So,
Hindi naman ako.
Nakalimutan niya nga.
nakalimutan
Ini-remind
na. Oh,
siya
Fred na
si
pala.
Ate.
Well, there Xuan Budong.
Anyway,
Yapin Han there.
thank you
From China.
so much.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
to your
Thank you.
Chinese students, researchers, or assistant, thank you.
Yeah. Ma'am
Thank
Giselle,
you very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you. I
Salamat.
hope,
Salamat, Gyud.
daghang salamat. Vic,
Daghang
I
salamat.
Damo
can
kita
visit.
salamat, Alvin.
Yeah, we haven't met
Salamat
personally
sa
yet.
Ilonggo.
Oh.
I haven't met
Thank you, Sir Vic. Thank you,
yet
Doc
personally.
Ann. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Michael. Thank you, Ruel.
Thank you.
And thank you, Arnold.
Roel, thank you, Roel.
And sa lahat na nag-attend. This is really good.
Mamaya na.
Thanks, ma'am. I am Sir Vic.
Ano daw,
And Arnold.
sabi ni Richmond, automatic
Yeah.
na daw mag-off yung
Yeah. Pag nag-off, it will record.
Pag off na, wala na. So mag-contact
Record. Richmond will
Ah.
handle the recording, the recorded, and it will be posted. Thank you so much, Vic.
Okay. Thank
I
you,
hope to
Academician
see you
Alvin.
Thank you, Al.
in person.
Yeah.
Giselle, thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you,
Ann,
Al.
thank you.
Marami.
Al, where's Al? I think he left.
I'm looking for a thesis
Michael.
defense right now. Ay,
Oh, my thesis defense.
Richard,
Tingnan mo. Busy din yan.
Thank you,
kung
ma'am.
agad makahanap ng Rafflesia, marker agad yan sa trekking, Rafflesia, and yung
Oh,
lahat.
Flash, yeah. Oh.
Kasi meron tayong
Parsley
grupo sa
plant.
PAASE na I'm
Oh.
involved in, na tutuloy yung pag-aral ng Rafflesia. Now involving Roy Luis of MSI and Jean-Air Molina of Rhode Island.
Oh, si Molina. Meron na pala siya dito sa Bukidnon. The
Rafflesia,
biggest
oo.
flower in the
Yes.
Philippines. Dito sa Bukidnon, sa Mount Kitanglad. So you
Hanapin
come
mo.
and visit Rafflesia.
Yun. Yes. Mga
Rafflesia,
ganito.
Sederbergiana.
Na matunog na. And then ngayon, you will lead us pa to other new genera and species. Pero yung picture plants, napaka-importante rin yan. Diba? Alam natin yan. Oo.
Aralan natin yan.
I
Kasi
have to go
natin ang
now.
Mount Hamigitan Range.
O sige. Thank you, Giselle.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Sige na.
Good luck.
Good night, Anne. Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
Good
night
night,
on your
Al.
end.
Okay,
Oh,
good
thank
night,
you
good
for
night.
staying.
Thank you,
Good day.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Vic.
Thank you, Vic.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Pupunta yan dito. Okay.
Ingat kayo, ingat.
Thank you,
Punta ako
ma'am.
dyan, ha, John.
Safe travels.
Papunta si Vic dito June 5 eh.
Texas.
Saan ka na? Nasaan ka ba?
Texas.
Nasa US ka ngayon, Vic, di ba?
Hindi.
Kasi nasa Bukidnon ako ngayon, but
nasa
ngayong June
Bukidnon ka.
3, June
Okay.
3 onward,
You'll be in
sa
the US.
Botanical Research of Texas, collaboration na naman with
Okay,
American
good.
taxonomist,
Sige.
botanist.
Ingat ka, Vic.
Okay.
I hope we can meet in the near future personally.
must
Okay.
shooting to
And visit
Texas.
us here in the university.
Yeah,
Huh?
I have good friends
Alvin.
from CMU. I'm not sure whether they're still there. From
Sino?
now.
Agan ba?
May
Nice.
mate ako sa AIT na ano, meron ako na, but I don't know whether they're still there, but I have to find out.
Sige.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Sige.
Thank
Sige.
you
Thank
for
you.
your students,
Bye-bye.
the finest
Okay.
guys. Thank you.
Sige. Bye-bye.
Joining us.
Bye-bye.
Michael,
Bye.
Mike, thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye to all.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yung mga
Bye.
Chinese
And good
students,
night.
thank you. Sige,
Good night.
Vic,
Good
sa
day.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
night, good
everyone. I
night.
have to leave now.
Thank you,
I have to
Professor.
leave now. Bye-bye.
Ako
Sige,
yung
I have
last
to leave
kasi
now
ako yung
too.
host.
Sige, thank you.
Okay.
Ann, maraming salamat ha.
Maraming salamat, Alvin. Oh.
We were able to put, pasensya na kanina, I was actually listening, but I was paying
It's
attention
okay.
also
You
to
have
my
another.
assessment.
Your presence is important and your comments. So thank you.
Anyway, thank you so much, Ann.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.